Welcome to the podcast, Eye for Talent, the show where we've got an eye for talent. I'm your host, Dylan, aka DJ Cereal Sauce. I am a YouTube content creator. I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm a producer. Probably a couple of other things. I feel like I always have more things in my head when I try and think of how I'm going to say this, and then I end up forgetting all of them when I try and record this. This is not about me. Joining me is the MrMahoghany, and I was going to make a joke about something like MrMahoghany is my father, call me something, but you are MrMahoghany, so like, I don't know if they'd like reference you if they tried calling somebody who's like a sibling of yours, or like not a sibling, like I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that joke.
A seedling,
Yeah.
a seedling, a sapling, something like that would work,
Yeah.
Just overall anything related to, mahogany.
Yeah.
It's fun that way,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, but yeah, no, straight, like, thank you for coming on here. I appreciate what the conversation that's about to go down here, I think, is going to be very interesting. Because if I can be totally transparent with you and the viewers, I don't know shit about this. So much so to the point where I even owned up and I was like, hey, I'm pretty limited in questions right now because I wouldn't even know where to begin to ask. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I was also thinking
totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I was also thinking right at the beginning, I was like, have you like been on a podcast before? Because you're easily the most confident person that I've had on here so far. Everybody else, like right before we start or as I'm messaging them about it, they're like a bit of a nervous wreck about it. But I don't know if that's just, I don't know if you've been on a podcast or if that's just your personality.
No. Yeah. I've never been on a podcast before. No. I mean, obviously we'll probably talk about like schooling and stuff like that, but I've done many presentations in school, like to the point where I'm not really afraid to talk to people. And my daily, I talk to everybody. So it's just, I think this is a conversation that just happens to be recorded, and you could listen again to it.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So okay, that's good to hear. For the people at home, MrMahoghany here, he's kind of a beast. He graduated with a degree in industrial design. He's a freelance graphic designer and is working towards UX design, otherwise known as user experience design. He's also got a couple of other things, which, again, is kind of a common theme here. Everybody seems to be multifaceted in one way or another, so he might be on here later talking about stuff that, if I'm honest, might be a little bit more boring than this, because money is a complicated issue. A complicated thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But don't set your expectations low. That's just me speaking off the top of the dome.
Come on, we gotta hype it up a little bit.
Yeah, no. Okay, yeah. Frankly, when I learn more about whatever you do in finances, I'm sure it will be a much more exciting episode. But right now, just hearing the word finance, I can imagine people being like, ugh, lame.
I mean, yeah, it's a money talk,
Yeah, but I'm sure you working in finance, I'm sure, is more interesting than just like, I worked at a bank for 12 years. Or even if it is, it's like you worked in every department of a bank or something. Who knows? Stay tuned.
Exactly.
But, honestly, we're just going to jump into this just so I can get more information on what.
Yeah, man, let's roll.
So, right at the beginning, right before this, you kind of explained to me what these different forms of design are, but I'm more curious right off the bat of how did you even get into art, or I guess into design, and then into industrial design in the first place? Like what happened? What inspired you?
I mean, when it comes to art and making things, I've done it ever since I was a kid, right? So I was always drawing. I've always had a passion for illustrating. One of my earliest memories I remember is like, I used to have a deck of cards that was like the Looney Tunes, right? And I would take those images of like the Looney Tunes on the deck of cards, and I would re-illustrate it and just like make it on like 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
Yeah.
So I would just like essentially look at the image and recreate it. So art for me has definitely always been a part of my life. When it comes to the different facets of art, and then, diverging sort of into design, that actually came about where, sounds a little lame, but I've always wanted to like design cars.
Well, hold on. No, that's
Like,
actually wait. Okay.
so I originally got into industrial design by looking at how cars were designed and created, because I've been around cars my entire life. My dad was a mechanic, so I've always had the interest of like how things are made, how things are created, how they're designed, and that's why I originally got into automotive design, which then sort of narrowed it down into industrial design, because automotive design's pretty crazy. Just the level of insane talent that's out there is astronomical. So when it came to industrial, like more things that were more suited for me, that's why I fell into industrial design, and I absolutely love making things. So, and all the different design skills and sets that I've done all play along with each other that way.
Oh, okay. So a big chunk of it is basically just that like the two biggest components in you coming about and figuring out all of this primarily came from stuff that just existed around you all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that
I
makes
like
sense.
stuff.
Yeah, Mr. Mahoghany, the liker of stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. The
Trademarked.
basis of it, exactly.
Okay. I guess so. When it comes to when you were initially interested in automotive design, and then shifting into industrial design, is a part of
Mhm.
it just how the outsides, or how component pieces of a thing look, or is it actually in like being interested in the understanding of how the pieces are put together and what they do and where they go and how they interact with each other?
All of the above,
Oh,
in all honesty. Because yeah, you can make something look cool, but you also got to make it work,
well, yeah.
right? So when it comes to industrial design and that skill set, it really is a combination of uh, looks and looks like and works like. So the design process itself, you really have to get a basic understanding of how things are going to be manufactured, how things are going to be built in terms of design, because you can make something look really cool and fancy, but there's no way to make it, right?
Yeah.
You see that all the time in automotive design when they come out with a concept car.
Oh,
You
easily.
see
Yeah.
the bright shiny vehicle that's coming across the stage. It looks sweet, but there's no way that it's physically going to be made that way. There's going to be changes. There's going to be updates. There's going to be remodels. There's going to be all sorts of different stuff. So that iteration comes through the design process. So I'm across the board. I love how things are made, and honestly, when I was a kid, my dad and I's favorite show to watch was How It's Made.
Yeah, same, same. Maybe not my favorite, but it was
So,
every time it came on, I was like, "This is." I was like, "I don't know what's going on, but I'm down."
I mean, legit, we would just keep it on for like you can keep it on for hours and just learn how things are made, and it was so cool.
Yeah,
So I do thoroughly enjoy the manufacturing process, and that's one of the things I learned when I was in school too.
nice. I respect that because
Mhm, mhm.
it also kind of reminds me of like when you're talking about like you can make a thing look cool, but you got to make it like function properly, and it kind of reminds me of like
Exactly.
concept tech you would see at like CES. I think is what it's
Hmm.
called. Like
Yeah,
CES
yeah,
versus mass market. It's like this is cool, but
hmm,
like, are you gonna? Is it actually gonna work? It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
bunch of question marks. We're not sure yet.
Yeah, this is what the general idea is. Now we got to make it functional.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Um, so I guess okay, I had this split up into two different questions, and I've realized that's a little bit irrelevant. So, in you can probably expand on this a little bit more than when you did to explain it to me the first time, which is
Mhm.
essentially what is industrial design? How does it differ from graphic design, and how do both of those things differ from user experience design?
So when it comes to industrial design is the design of everyday things. I'll give you an example. When you wake up in the morning, first half hour of your day, how many things do you interact with?
Let's think. One, two, three. Hmm.
tough question, right? It's hard to think about all the things you touch and work with, right?
Yeah, because it depends on how like myopic you want to get about it. It's like, is my phone, is my
Well, I
dresser,
mean,
is a door, is like toothbrush, sink.
exactly. I mean, exactly, right? So literally, you're getting out of bed. You go for the door. You're touching the door handle. You know, you go to the bathroom. You do toothbrush. All that stuff is designed by a designer,
Yeah.
whether it be, you know, industrial design, mechanical engineering, depending on the level of complexity. There's everything that goes through that physical product is industrial design. And a lot of times you actually come across people giving a blanket term of product design. But product design can also be used for graphic design, and it can also be used for, you know, user experience design as well, because you're creating a product for a user.
Yeah.
Right. So, like I said, industrial design is generally physical things, whereas graphic design is digital things. So you're driving down the road, you have your street signs, you have your billboards, you have your store signs, you got everything that you see and you look at every day is, you know, through some sort of graphic design. It has to have some sort of, you know, designed intent, right? So you have your physical, you have your digital, then user experience design for the most times deals with user interfaces on the digital side of things.
Oh.
But its language can also be utilized within graphic design and industrial design as well. Because with user experience design, it is the way a user is going to interact with a product, interact with a website, interact with their phone, right? And that sort of designed intent is where it focuses on the individual and how someone's going to actually use something. So it's definitely a transitional type of, you know, field.
Yeah. And if there's a chance I might be perceiving this incorrectly, but it sounds like user experience design is kind of like the mental game that you have to play to understand, like, almost like understanding the psychology of a person and how they react when they see a certain image, or if they see a certain color, or if they see a certain string of words or whatever. And then industrial design and graphic design is basically the functional ways that you were going to implement those concepts and turn it into a thing that people will see or use.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Like if you look on a college campus, you have all the paths that are made to go from the different buildings, but you always see paths of just dirt from all the students going around and away from the actual paved roads.
Yeah.
That sort of interaction is taken in the fact of, yeah, those paths originally created may not actually be what the user wants and needs. So it's a cool complex of seeing how someone's going to interact with their surroundings for user experience design that way.
Huh. Okay. That makes sense. I guess I'm just trying to think of like the quote unquote tangibility of user experience design. But
yeah, tangibility would probably be user interfaces, how you interact with software, how you're interacting with, you know, your devices, how you're interacting with websites, that sort of thing. If as far as more of a tangibility aspect,
okay.
because
Yeah.
you can go very broad with all this sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very much one to be like very deep and like theoretical and and all that sort of stuff. That's just how my mind goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, if tangibility's sake, yeah, definitely like software type stuff.
Okay. Yeah. No, I hate that. That all makes sense. Cool. So this next question is in regards to the portfolio that you sent me, because if I'm being honest, I looked at it yesterday and I was one part fascinated with just the amount of stuff that was on there and just the miscellaneous things that you've done and the amount of people who have looked at the stuff that you've put on there. And then the other half of me
Mhm.
was like, I don't know, like, like I don't know what this is supposed to be showcasing and what this is supposed to be showing me. So
Yeah.
the question that I have for in that regard is, are
Mhm.
all of these different entries on your portfolio showing off designs that you've helped in making? Are you helping to actually physically design something? Are these renders that you've created? Like, what are these collections of, and what are they showing to people who view the website?
Yeah, I did all that. So the on my website and everything, it's pretty much just a collection of my works.
Yeah.
So the works from my graphic design stuff, my industrial design, also have photography on there. Some of the furniture I've made. Some little actually, there's actually some UX stuff on there from when I was in college too. So it's a whole just it's a dumping ground of all my work, and honestly probably should be better organized. Let's be real here, but yeah, but yeah, it's pretty much just an amalgamation of everything that I do.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I was looking on here and I was like, okay, here's like a transportation service looking thing. Here is a nutrition supplement looking thing. Here's some shirts.
Hmm.
Here's a backpack. Here's cars. And then there was something about like a wedding, and I was like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah, actually, no, the that was actually my little man's baptism.
Oh yeah.
There's the photography from his christening. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I hear you.
But yeah, no, it's like I said, it's an amalgamation of everything. Which, like I said, from an outside perspective, is just chaos. I mean, but then again, I am also chaos a little bit too, so it fits.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just sifting through here, and I'm like, oh, here's a bunch of pictures of some city that I'm not going to name because I don't know if I'm allowed to. Uh, but
I don't live there anymore, so it's fine. It's fine.
fair enough. Well, it's just it's just some city. I'm like, oh, here's some pictures through like a fence, like a chain link fence of
Hmm.
like a what looks like
Hmm.
an industrial something or other. I can't really tell what this
Uh-huh.
is all about.
That's Yeah, no, that's Central PA. It's like an abandoned uh manufacturing facility.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so it was my fancy dancy artistic eye type thing. Like just be like, ooh, the complexity of the inorganic and organic, melding together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some pretty cool pictures. So I'll give you that. You did a good job.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, so, uh, I guess kind of bouncing off of that same question is that your portfolio shows a lot of variety, but I'm curious
Mhm.
on what you will primarily focus your creative energy into. Like, do you have a particular shtick or a particular area that you specialize in, or are you kind of bouncing back and forth between a bunch of them at your whim? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely much more of a jack of all trades and a master of none. So yeah, whatever work comes to me, I'll get it done.
Fair
Right
enough.
now, a lot of my focus, especially that I do on the side, is my freelance graphic design.
Yeah.
So that's definitely more so on the forefront of what I'm doing right now. But once I'm done through the user experience design, curriculum and projects, then I will also transition to more of the user experience design aspect onto it as well. But to be fair, I haven't touched my portfolio in quite some time, so I mean, this is making me like, yeah, I need to go fix some things.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I guess to be fair, as long as you're like still doing a bunch of stuff, even if it's not necessarily on your
Hmm.
portfolio, like it's not the worst thing ever.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So
No, I mean, there's definitely some projects on there that um, either I can't show or whatnot too. So it's a little bit of a mix of both.
yeah, no, that's totally fair. Um, just want to look here and just kind of see. Because if there's only one thing that I can comment on right now, which is it looks like in regards to industrial design and whatnot, you at least have or had at least a slight primary focus on making like furniture pieces. Like I
Yeah,
don't know if that was like a shtick you had going for a little while.
no, that was just like side work.
Oh,
I like to repurpose furniture. So I'll find some old discarded furniture and make it something new and more quote unquote designy.
oh yeah, just a little bit more like
to
like better aesthetics looking, kind of like.
yeah, exactly, make it look cooler,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So yeah, some of the furniture I have on there is just me taking existing items and turning them into something new.
Oh yeah, actually, right. Yeah, right as you said that, I see that this one that you were doing where you basically just like took a chair and then remade the chair,
Mhm. Yeah,
turned
yeah,
it into a
yeah.
better chair.
I mean, it made it look nice. It makes it
Oh
look really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. That's like this is the perfect kind of chair that I would definitely have out on my porch. Like
Mhm.
it's a nice chair.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And I think I got that chair for like free too. I mean, a lot of like things that are discarded, I think are, give it a second life.
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I've seen on the internet that are like, we took this for $3. We spent X amount of money repurposing it, and we sell it for this amount. Do you do anything similar to that? Like the pieces that you repurpose, are these in your home? Do you give these to family members? Do you sell these? What do you do with these?
I keep them honestly. I'm looking at that side table right now. Um,
Oh,
yeah, because I mean, it's I could sell them, but I like them too. So I mean, I like making things I want to keep.
oh yeah, exactly. As most people do.
If I run out of space, then it's a different story. But for now, it's doing its job.
Yeah. So I guess then that begs the question: where does the cycle stop? Like you're like, okay, this table was repurposed into a better table, and now
Mhm.
like I don't know, 10, 15 years down the line, you're like, well, now this table is the repurposed table is now falling apart. Do you repurpose the repurposed table?
Yeah, why not?
Like,
Yeah, why not? I mean, that's fine. You gotta keep making, you gotta keep breathing new life into things.
yeah, no, that's totally
That's
fair.
that's the whole, aesthetic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I respect that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like a Frankenstein's side table.
I mean, honestly, that side table that was there. Back in the day, they used to do the side tables. They would put the tablecloth over top of it for like their lamps and stuff like that, and you didn't actually look at the actual legs of the table and
Yeah,
everything.
because the cloth was basically just covering the whole thing.
Exactly, right. It was cheaply made and just done really quickly.
Yeah.
That's that table. And then I added the triangular structure below it to, increase the strength and rigidity of the piece, so it didn't actually like wobble around.
Yeah.
So there's design intent into it as well. Plus, I mean, the aesthetics are what I like as well. I'm definitely much more of like a mid-century modern kind of furniture kind of guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose like depending on how old these pieces are, you can very clearly tell like you can see like it'd be interesting if you were to take this table and repurpose it in another 10 years because who knows what
Mhm.
furniture is going to look like in 10 years or whatever
Exactly.
that timeline is. So, I think that's kind of
Hmm.
fascinating actually. I'd love to see
Yeah.
like a collection of people like I'm sure there's people who have done this, but I'd love to see a collection of people like repurposing a repurposed table that they repurposed like tons and tons of
Hmm.
times to fit with new aesthetics or like something passed down through family generations or something.
Yeah. I mean, I would love that. Honestly, there's the cycle of planned obsolescence
Yeah.
where a product is made to be used and destroyed, whereas it shouldn't be. I mean, in some aspects it should be that way, but in some aspects, why not breathe new life into something? That's it. Save the planet that way, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. And you're not like this table would definitely be overpriced if you bought it at like a furniture store. Like
I think I got that table at like Goodwill or something.
fair enough, fair
Yeah.
enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's kind of like get into actually how you do all the things that you do.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of interested to look, not even kind of, I am interested to look into what your general process is of like creating something, whether it's physically creating it or whether it's like creating a render of something. Like, is it just as simple as you think of what you want to do with a piece, or you think of something you want to make and you just do it? Do you get commissioned by people? Is it both? Is it neither? Is it those plus some other things? Like what how does that happen?
Why do you do the things you do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, it's a complex of both. So, obviously, the freelance design that I do, I get paid for it.
Yeah.
I charge people for creating logos, branding, that sort of thing. Um, and there are pieces and stuff that I do for myself, just for fun, just to build up my skill set. Yeah. So when it comes to my overall intent and process, it's I'm very research focused. So whenever I'm getting a design brief, I'm getting a request from um, a customer, that sort of thing. I always probably ask like 50 questions as to what they're looking for, what sort of styling do they want, what sort of influences they have, what are some competing companies branding someone else in you know the marketplace, the lion's share of what people are interacting with. So there's a lot of background research that I do with the client
Yeah.
first, and then I do my own. So based off of the information I gather from the client, what they're looking for, what they're feeling, I then take that information and sort of try and give my own spin on it. So if the client is wanting, let's just say, for the branding I did for Sweet Ride, for example, that whole project came about from one of my clients who was starting up a company, and
Oh.
I worked with him on the development of the actual branding of the company, the naming. I helped name the company with him, um, helping out with like the licensing and all that sort of stuff, and then working on the graphics of it as well. So in the graphics, it was a sort of a complexity of how do I get something that is sleek and modern, but also has a little bit more of a flavor of, you know, sort of retro sweetness into it. Um, and try and blend those worlds together through different typography, different kerning, all that sort of stuff when it comes to the actual logo. And everything starts off as a sketch, whether it's an actual physical product, or whether it's graphic design, or even if it's user experience design. You got to start from somewhere. You got to have the building blocks, right?
Yeah.
So you start off with the information, and then you just let your mind go wild, right? And there's no wrong answers when it comes to creating something, right?
Yeah, that is
You
fair.
just you got to flush out the design, flush out the ideas, and then you present them to the client, right? So when you present it to the client, you never just want to give them one idea, because if they hate it, you're screwed.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like if you give them one idea, and if they hate it, then now they have nothing to go, like they have no clue what else you're capable of.
Exactly, right. So, but here's the thing too: you don't also want to flood the client with all sorts of designs as well. So you have to sort of run that fine line of like, here's what the client wants. Here's my interpretation of what I think the client really needs, and then here's what I think would be cooler, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
And presenting all those ideas, and then that way you're not overstimulating the client with all these different approaches, because a lot of times they're going to pick and choose different pieces of different aspects of designs,
Yeah.
right? They'll like this piece here, this piece there, and then you take their feedback and their critiques, and then you do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's an iterative process. It only ends when the client says they like it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess
Yeah.
this I kind of okay. So what I'm curious about is, in
Mhm.
your opinion, is it better to try and basically say, here's what the client wants. Now let me give them, say, three different ways to do this, but in vastly different ways, so that way they can see what you are capable of doing and it might spark some ideas. Or do you think it's better to kind of take what they want, try and
Mhm.
figure out what you think might be better for them and how you can make the deal even better for them, and then kind of go in, like, kind of start going in three different directions, so that way they get
Mhm.
like you kind of have like your core pieces stay the same with a couple of
Mhm.
variances. Like, what in your
Yeah.
experience, what usually tends to work more successfully at not giving them analysis paralysis, but also giving them the ability to know what you can offer them?
It I try and do multiple approaches, right? So I'll give the client exactly what they're looking for. And then I'll give them stuff that's better, right?
Yeah.
And it's up to the client to decide which one they want, right?
Yeah.
So you can illustrate the advantages of the suggested better design and what that could bring to the table comparatively to what the client was looking for originally.
Yeah.
Because in reality, a lot of people don't know what they want until they see it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or they're in the nicest way possible. A lot of people are kind of like stuck in their ways. Like, they get a core idea. They get a core idea,
Mhm,
and then they're like, okay, this is cool. And like, it's
mhm.
almost like the dopamine of having come up with what in your mind is a new concept. You kind
Yeah.
of may not be able to get out of your own head to try and find something that could be better,
Mhm.
or that might fit better. So as soon as you find
Yeah.
somebody who can give you a bunch of, or not like a bunch, but just who can look at it from a completely different point of view, that might give them just what they need.
Exactly, right? I mean, when it comes to design, even designers have the same thing, the troubles of like them loving their own pieces too much.
Yeah.
When we were in school, we used to call it our baby dinosaurs. Um, so your baby dinosaur was like your thing. Like is like, how can you touch my precious? Like, there's nothing wrong with this. This is perfect. But when you take a step back and truly like re-visualize from a different perspective, you can tend to see a lot of the nuances that should be updated, things that should be fixed too.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So, okay.
I just like
Um,
baby dinosaurs too.
yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love a good baby dinosaur, right? You know, little T-Rex with small little arms, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, I told you I'm random, so.
No, that's fair enough. That's perfect. That's what we need here. Uh,
Mhm.
but okay, so then I guess when it comes to stuff that you kind of just think, like, it, what does it look like if we're talking about stuff that you kind of just come up with on the fly, stuff that didn't take inspiration from somebody else's like core idea that they wanted you to help expand on?
Mhm. So, I mean, I generally have an idea of when I'm talking to someone about of something. Ideas are already popping in my head of like before they even probably finish talking, which probably isn't a good thing. Um, I'm already, the gears are turning,
Yeah.
right? So anytime I have a design conversation, I'm mentally stimulated to the fact of like, all right, cool, I want to go make things, and just step away. Let me draw.
Yeah.
And when it comes to like my own projects, those are pretty much like, I guess, pet projects that are they tend to sometimes get like on the back burner. But I try and always, I like making things for people,
Yeah.
and it's like seeing their reactions and say, "Hey, it looks good." I'm like, "Sweet, cool, thanks." But yeah, I don't tend to do too many things that are on my own, unless it's dealing like with my own branding.
Oh yeah, that makes
Whether or
sense.
not do stuff like if I want to do a whole branding for MrMahoghany, I would approach that project the same way I would approach a project with a client. The process is the same.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean
if it's a good way to
everything
do
works the
business,
same
it's a
way.
good way to take care of yourself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then, like you said, for any pet project stuff, it's kind of just like this is a thing that I can come back on when I kind of just want to like enjoy my time, just like
Hmm.
fucking around with something.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean it's I always carry a sketchbook with me, so
yeah.
anytime I have an idea or anything like that, just jot things down. I used to do that in college all the time. I literally had have a little moleskin sketchbook that I would keep in my back pocket. Anytime I'd have an idea for something, I would just jot it down. Whether even if it's just text and that sort of thing. Because one person who was really famous for doing that was Leonardo da Vinci. He would always, have a sketchbook with him and always be drawing and that sort of thing. And I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I honestly, I think anybody who is creatively charged in a way that causes them to try and make things either interpersonally for themselves or for the ability to say show their friends or maybe even going so far as
Mhm.
to uploading it on the internet.
Mhm.
I think carrying around whatever device helps you jot down your ideas the quickest and the most efficient is great.
Yeah.
Um, I always have like 3 or 4 notebooks with me. It's not for
Mhm.
that reason. I just like I have them because I've gotten them from places and I think they look cool and I want to carry them with me.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah, I get that. I'm
yeah.
very much a collector of sketchbooks, so I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, I have this like I have this book that literally has like leather to bind all the pages together and it looks like a
Mhm.
book that would have thousands of spells in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um but I
For all
also
the witchcraft you do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't the only witchcraft that I'm doing in those books is I'm just trying to learn how to do regular art, so I just kind of sketch
Mhm.
stuff in there as I see it around me. But no,
Yeah.
the reason that I actually carry the notebooks around with me is also just because I like having a physical aspect of like my planning. Like I primarily use the notebooks for keeping
Mhm.
track of things I have to do within the day or within the week.
Yeah. You know,
And
keeping your head on straight, right?
exactly, yeah, and it also does kind of it feels better to note it down that way
Mhm.
than just putting it because I'll also admit that I have a ton of notes in my phone for other miscellaneous things.
Mhm.
But it's almost like the feeling of physically writing down what I need to do throughout the week
Mhm.
within a notebook helps me to remember and keep track of everything that I need to do. So I totally respect that. Um,
Yeah. Keeps you focused.
oh yeah, yeah, exactly that. Keeps you focused and helps you kind of arrange your thoughts in a way that is also easily documentable. Documentatable would be maybe the word. I don't
Mhm.
know. Whatever. But also even for people like who make music like I do, like they're just like, hey,
Mhm.
like make sure that you have your phone with you whenever you're doing things, which like people already are
Mhm.
anyways, but like especially
Oh
because
yeah.
like sometimes you'll hear something or an idea will come into your
Sound bits,
head.
sound. Yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah, you just take little sound bits, put it into your voice recording thing, and then you come back to it later. So if you're a person who wants to like make stuff for yourself or for other people, absolutely just carry around whatever tool helps you do that the best because it's just a smart way
Exactly.
to live.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely you got to capture things in the moment because if you don't, you're you're gonna forget about it honestly. And then with as scatterbrained as I can be, yeah, that can be pretty quick.
Yeah, with as scatterbrained as a lot of people can be, honestly, like you should always have that thing on you because something's going to come to your head and it's going to be just
Mhm.
catchy enough to catch your attention within the thousands of thoughts that are going on at any given time.
Mhm.
And if you don't capture that like right away, you probably are going to forget about it, or you're going to
Mhm.
lose like a chunk of what made it stick out in your head, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So carry around a
No, I mean
notebook, carry around
there's
your whatever with you.
exactly there's always something tangible with the thought process,
Yeah.
and it's those key little insights that you get from your day-to-day sort of interactions that can really enhance what you're doing, and you could just have it on the back burner for months, right? If you're getting like a sound bit for music, and it just doesn't fit in anywhere that you're doing. You come across just this one piece that you come back and like, yeah, this
is good.
This hits. Yeah, this hits right here. Yeah.
And it's also
exactly.
like, there was another piece that I was going to bring up with it. I don't remember. It probably wasn't important enough. It probably was. It's okay. Basic. Just carry a notebook around with you. Whatever. They're easy.
just carry.
Like just
carry stuff with you.
Yeah, exactly. Carry stuff with you. Collector of stuff. But yeah, no. I mean, it's like there's notebooks.
TM.
There's no. But no, like there are notebooks that can like fit into people's pockets. Like especially if you're a man, like men have big pockets, so like you could fit a notebook in there. Like carry it with you. Or maybe, or exactly. even carry a backpack with you. Like my backpack has a bunch of stuff in it that I like don't really need like ever, but I always have my backpack with me, so it just like I have all this stuff with me. So just do that.
Or you can get a satchel. Indiana Jones has one.
Yeah, get like that'd make more sense. Get like a smaller form satchel, one that's not big enough that you would get stopped by like movie theater personnel or something because like that bag's too big or whatever. Just like. But it's just big enough to fit a notebook.
All the candy you're sneaking in.
Yeah, exactly. Man, speaking of candy being snuck in, I listened to a podcast of this person who snuck a whole pizza into a movie theater, and I don't
snap, yo.
I don't know how they did it. Well, they told me how they said how they did it, but I don't really.
That's they're slicing it too thin there. I don't know about that. That's the whole pie. That'd be crazy.
That seems a little excessive. Yeah, like there's pies that are pretty small, but like I don't know if it's still small enough, you should be taking it with you to the movies.
Like the little DiGiorno.
Yeah, the one that can like fit in the where the whole pizza can fit in the palm of your hand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean,
pizza bites.
Yeah, exactly. Do that. Let me move on here before we get too side tangent on fucking movie theaters.
I told you we would. I'm really good at making tangents.
No, this is good. It pads for time. It pads for time, and it makes it more enjoyable. But so you obviously have a portfolio. We've talked about it for like half this episode. Do you do? I assume you do this stuff professionally, right? Like, is this like a part of your job?
No. I mean, I want it to be. I want it to be. No, I don't. No. Not my day to day. Not my 9 to 5.
Yeah,
or
not
whatever.
Not the job that you just got off of doing before you called me.
Yeah. No,
Shit.
I'm in. I know. Big old Sag. That's what I mean. That's why I'm going back to school.
Makes sense.
And doing the user experience design stuff because I want to be able to transition into the design career, design profession, because that is honestly where my heart and soul is.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, I love making things and I love that process. But that process itself, honestly, could be used in any scenario. Right. So what I do right now, for the paycheck, is I work in banking. Right. And when it comes to working in banking and everything, you can utilize the design thinking mentality with any of the customers and stuff that I interact with, right? Because think of it this way: someone comes into your office, they have a problem. You need to fix the problem. How do you go about fixing the problem? And how do you come up with a solution that may be better than what they originally intended?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Yeah. It fits.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And typically the way that I think about like solving problems with customers is like one, like, well, I guess this is just my job has basically taught me like if somebody has a problem, do it for them once. If they come back again asking to fix it, teach them how to do it so they never have to come back. Not because it's like I like working with the clients and the customers that we have, but it's also like the less time they spend interacting with us and the less time we spend interacting with them, the more time we can spend doing stuff that's probably more important, unless your job is exclusively customer forward facing. But even then, that just means that like you can sometimes ease the workload off of yourself by teaching people how to do the things that you would normally spend, half of your day consistently doing for people over the phone or something to that degree.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really, it's both, right? So what I do in finance and banking and such is one of my key points is teaching people how to do the things they need to do, right?
Yeah.
How to work with the software, how to work with, their finances, right? I got into banking right out of college, because I had a lot of student loan debt that I needed to start paying right away, right? Those come up real quick, but yeah, that's how I originally got into the banking aspect of things, and it's a weird complex to think about, especially when I was younger. When I got into banking, was me teaching people who are way older than me how to do banking,
Yeah.
right? How to control their finances and lending and budgeting and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things you don't think about when it comes to money that it's just not taught anymore, right?
Oh yeah.
Financial literacy is not something that's provided in any sort of real educational format nowadays.
It's like not provided very much. It's not provided very frequently, and even when they do provide it, it's like not very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like my financial literacy class in high school was them teaching us how to look at stocks, but it wasn't like
y'all be looking at stocks.
Yeah, I don't know why the hell they were doing that. They were like you guys pick 5 companies, and every day when you come into this class, check on their stocks and make sure you punch all their information down before the minute, because stocks change every minute or something to that degree, like majorly. I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this? Like, who is this helping?
Brokerage 101.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what the why?
In reality, you were actually working on your school's 401k plan. That's
maybe,
what you
but like, I was like, bro, I'm 16. Like, why are you making me do this? Like, you have people who you pay to do this. Why are you making my parents pay for me to manage your 401k situation, you dicks?
I mean, to be fair, yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, when it comes to like financial literacy, I mean, there's so many people who don't even know how to like sign a check or like fill out a check. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, that sort of thing is a little bit is old school, but
it's still relevant enough.
People don't even know how to sign their name, man. Like,
oh yeah,
they don't even know how to write cursive. Oh, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've helped out kids and they had to sign their name, and I can't just like stop but not laughing. As they sign their name, and I'm like, all right, man, let's just give you some scratch paper to practice this out before.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to finance and banking, there's a lot of stories I could tell. A lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
But my end of the day, I'm there to help people and trying to ease their burdens a bit. So that's one of the takeaways that I have when it comes to banking, is that there's a lot of times I'm legitimately helping people out hardcore.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one of the tangible good bits about doing what I do.
Yeah, you're helping people. You're not just assisting people with something. You are helping them, especially for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of times I'm helping people, get like do their goals and their dreams, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's nothing more fulfilling than to, be an effective part of someone's change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like within your philosophy of being like, I want to help people, but I want to help them. Basically, I want to help their problem and fix their problem and make the solution better than what they could have thought of. And part of you teaching people how to do these things on their own is like a low key like big part of that, because when you teach them how to do it, then they get more exposed with the systems that they're using in order to, I guess, facilitate their own success. And then they figure out their own ways to do it, and they figure out more efficient ways to do it. And then ultimately they end up with a much better, I guess in this case, they end up with a much better financial situation, or they're more efficient with their time or something, than if you kind of just like solved the problem for them. So
yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people who still go to the bank, and I'm like, yeah, you can just do like a mobile deposit this check or something like that. Like low key, like, why are you here? But while you're here, let me talk to you about a loan. Come on over.
Exactly.
No, but I mean, when it comes to talking with customers and everything, one of the big aspects that I try to always, do is asking open-ended questions. So I don't know if you've, know the concept of like why, like what an open-ended question might be.
I mean, yeah.
So the cool thing about doing that is a lot of times people just tell you everything.
Yeah, and they just do
Right.
not stop talking for
Like
30 minutes.
like me.
Classic.
Yeah, yeah, this is my life. But yeah, no, like open questions can really, allude to different avenues and different things that you may not have even thought about yourself.
Yeah.
As an opportunity, which also is something I do when I do design stuff too. I always ask open-ended questions.
Yeah, in a weird way, it's almost like the best example of an open-ended question that I could try and think of to sort of expand on this for people who don't really know what classifies as an open-ended question is kind of like a client comes to you and they like, let's say the what was it called again? Let's say the guy from Sweet Ride wanted to talk with you about developing, giving a name, kind of doing
The branding.
all this stuff for his brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas on one end you could be like, you can give him an option and you can say, is this I don't know, like, is this color palette something that you like? It's a weird question, but it's like, is this color palette something that you would want? And then just say yes or no. Whereas an open-ended question would basically be like, what are you looking for? Like, what kinds of colors are you looking for? What kinds of emotions are you trying to strike with people based on your color palette? What vibe are you trying to give these people? And so rather than them just saying yes or no to a question they already had the answer to, when you ask them an open-ended question, they kind of have to actually formulate what they're trying to say, and they have to conceptualize their own idea of what they want and then figure out a way to explain it in a way that the person they are working with will understand. So then they end up giving an incredibly good idea of what they're looking for, or it helps them come up with new ideas once they've formulated the idea enough in their brain to explain it to somebody.
And one of the cool things about doing that too is, depending on like how good of an open-end question you provide them, they will give you feelings in their explanation as well.
Yeah.
How does someone feel about a situation or product or all that sort of stuff? Really brings it more personal to them as well.
Yeah.
And provides them more impact.
Yeah. And in some ways, it also makes them think, it gives them the impression that you care about them more, which to say it gives them the impression makes me sound like a dick, but it's like you're kind of connecting with them in a different way to the point where you do care enough about trying to understand the deeper parts of whatever they're trying to achieve.
I mean, honestly, that's pretty on brand for me.
Yeah.
I'm very much like, I want to get to know somebody, like either someone or something, to my fullest extent. So that's on par of what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want
life.
to be into this as much as you are into this, so that I can be the best that I can to help you succeed.
Yeah, I just want to be the best, like no one ever was.
Yeah, exactly. I have not seen the Pokemon like cartoon very much, but I did play Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
There you go, my man. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. And now those video games are like worth like $200 a pop.
Actually, wait, yeah, no, I have a friend who was trying to get a hold of those, I think, and they were like, "Why is this shit $200?" I'm like, "You're getting scammed."
Not
that's
expensive,
why.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I have a friend I have a friend who's been collecting all of the games since like the original.
Yeah,
I think the original was Red and Blue. Doesn't matter. He's still on that grind. But
nice.
Well, okay. Now this is weird because I called him a friend. I'm not a friend of his anymore. I respect that he does that, but I don't like him as a person. This isn't about him. This isn't about him.
You see how much I derailed the conversation?
No, that was just me trying to be I refer to everybody as either a friend, a family member, a coworker, or I refer to them by their name. And he is none of those people. So I just called him a friend because it's the easiest one. He's just a guy.
He's some Joe Schmo just down the street.
Yeah.
You know,
This is awkward. Yeah, I have friends who are going to listen to this who know who I'm talking about, and this is going to be pretty awkward. But
hey, can't wait for the stories afterwards.
Yeah. back on the train.
Yeah, right.
So you've already done a lot of elaboration on what you enjoy about industrial design, graphic design, user experience design, and all this stuff. If there are other pieces about it that you enjoy that you haven't talked about, I want to hear about those. But I also want to hear about stuff that you don't like as much, or that you could just straight up dislike about doing these sorts of things.
It's one of the things that it's a love-hate relationship too, is doing creative work and whatever facet. It can be sometimes pretty straining.
Yeah.
Just because you're putting a lot of mental energy into something.
Yeah.
And trying, creating something, sometimes a lot of times, something from nothing.
Oh yeah,
and
exactly.
So that sort of strain can be tough, but then it's also super rewarding too.
Yeah, when it pays off.
Exactly, right? I love the ability of like coming up with an idea, and then like if I'm looking at something or if like physically holding it in my hand and be like, I made this.
Yes.
Like,
yes, sir.
That is so good, right? It's such a cool feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the like that sort of self-satisfaction that I absolutely, I vibe with so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So other than that, some of the things that could be considered a downside is a lot of times the software you got to use can be mad expensive.
Oh,
right?
God, yep.
So, any like, I pretty much I use a lot of the Adobe Creative Suite, and I actually do the cloud for Adobe for everything.
Oh yeah.
So, that ain't cheap, to say the least.
Yeah.
Comes out of the account every month.
See that payment, you're like, oh, it hurts.
A lot of times I just forget about it. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I forgot I had to pay for this. Because that you just reach a point where it just happens, right? So, and when it comes to like industrial design, one of the industry standards for creating 3-dimensional objects is a software called SolidWorks. And a licensing for SolidWorks. It's really cool. I definitely recommend take a look at it. But with SolidWorks, it's thousands and thousands of dollars for an annual license, and that's not something that I could pay for.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, there are a lot of alternatives that are out there that may not, have all the best interfaces into it, might not do all the same stuff, but can still get the same job done.
Yeah.
So there's always that, high end software, and then there's also the low end. And the name of the game is just get it done in whatever way you can, right?
Yeah.
Whether or not you're using the top of the line stuff or you're scraping the barrel. You gotta put in the sweat equity into it, into you making sure you're delivering the product or the service and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And making sure that you're, using the online tools that you have to understand how to use your tools the best that you can to kind of at least help feel like you're mitigating the cost of something.
Yeah. Because there's sure as hell there's a lot of cost to a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I was just looking at the Adobe Cloud thing again, because I was potentially looking at a new video editing software, and I was like $90 a month for Creative Cloud for all apps, and I look at pay annual, and I'm like, oh, look at that, almost $1,100.
Yeah. No, there's it could be pretty spicy.
Yeah, but Yeah, no, that all makes sense. I mean, a lot of those things are kind of to be expected with any creative industry. It's like if you're somebody who's putting
Hmm.
stuff out into the world, your tools are going to be expensive, your time commitment's going
Yeah,
to be expensive. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to get your brain to function enough to like make anything.
yeah.
Um, but
Artist block is a thing, man.
oh yeah, exactly. I was going to ask. I usually ask people about artist's block, but in a case like this, I don't really know. Like, I don't. It obviously still
You know,
applies, but I don't really know how
yeah,
it
no,
really.
it's still
It's a little different.
it still applies, right?
Yeah.
It's a creativity block, right?
Yeah.
You could be stuck on a problem or a situation that you just you can't wrap your head around it, and or you just can't think of any new ideas. So a way that I've always gotten around that is I show my stuff to everybody and be like, hey, yo man, come here, tell me what you think.
Yeah, getting external input. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that we do in design, like industrial design and even graphic design and stuff like that, is design critiques. So literally presenting your ideas for a room of people, and then having them, give you their feedback,
Yeah.
right? Because in reality, you could be stuck in your own head and your own opinion, but if you're trying to appeal for a larger audience,
You need to get
you
the
can't.
opinion of a larger audience.
Yeah,
Or at least
yeah, you
larger
can't be
than just
self-serving
yourself.
into it.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? I mean, even though I think I make some pretty cool stuff, but
Yeah, no, we can all admit you make some pretty cool stuff, but you have to imagine like how much of that stuff also had to go through the eyes of a second person.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, and then second people, and then third people, and then a whole populace, and yeah, no,
Yeah.
depends on the project.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm.
I guess another piece that I was interested in terms of when you were talking about the things that you dislike about this, I don't know if this is something that happens to you, but given
Mm.
that you also seem to assist people like clients with stuff that I would probably consider to be their kind of passion projects, do you do you
Mm.
tend to get like more like entitled type people, or do you think the people that you work with are more grateful than somebody who's, say working with you at or sorry, somebody who comes to you for assistance at your banking job?
No, I mean the people I do like the design work for, um, they they're not really entitled. I mean, they're entitled, especially if they pay me. Um,
But I mean, you know what I mean. Like, do they act like a bunch of little dickheads?
yeah. No, I mean, when it comes to design and creating something, it's a whole different environment, right? It's a whole different line of thinking.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients, they trust me in my process, right?
Yeah.
They trust the style that I have and the work that I create. That's going to be at a standard that they desire,
Yeah.
right? When it comes to finances and stuff like that, people are assholes.
Well, yeah, because yeah, that makes sense because you're messing with people's money. It's like
Yeah, I mean, no, I can't tell you the amount of upset people I have to deal with on the daily.
yeah. I used to work in like loan, not like loan. God, what the hell was it called? So there's like a department of people that like help people with actually filling out a loan application, and then there's people who decide if you
Yeah.
get the loan or whatnot. And then once they actually get the loan and they start making payments on it, then they come to me and they talk with me about stuff.
Mhm.
And this isn't at my current job. This is at the last job. But yeah,
Mhm.
it makes sense when you're working with people's money. If anything goes wrong, you are their punching bag until they get off the phone,
No,
and
100%.
then somebody else is. So
No,
that makes sense.
I've definitely become accustomed to being able to calm people down. So if I have someone who's like blatantly like yelling at me, I mean, which is it's happened. Um, I I can talk them down.
Yeah.
I'll give you the example of like, when the Hulk is like angry and he has Scarlett Johansson like singing him like a sweet song to like bring him down
Yeah,
and
exactly.
make him happy again.
Are you telling me
Yeah,
you
that's
sing
me.
songs to your angry old patrons at the bank?
I mean, I'm like Black Widow that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be a different type of environment for me to sing though. It's so
Yeah. No,
yeah.
like not on my job. That's be a professional. Goddamn it.
Exactly. You know, you got to have a certain standard, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I guess that kind of, well, not even I guess, that does make sense because it's like people came to you for a reason. They know what they're getting themselves
Mhm,
into. They came to you because they are, like you said, expecting a certain quality of a certain kind of thing, and
mhm.
especially if it's maybe a person who is like a repeated customer of yours, it's like they know exactly how you do things. So
Exactly.
people are like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
doing their best to help you help them, and then it's all
Mhm.
said and done, and they're like, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, as long as especially on the design thing, as long as it looks cool at the end, yeah,
Yeah, it looks
why not?
satisfactory for them. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So, this second to last question is kind of making me realize that I didn't necessarily format all of these in an appropriate order. But like, how long did it take you to get comfortable with photography, industrial design, graphic design, user experience design? How long did it take you to get comfortable enough with all of that stuff to create a portfolio and start putting stuff on it?
Ever since I was told to do it in design school.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I mean, here's the thing, like, when it comes to, you know, promoting yourself and the work that you do and the mindsets that you have, you can't be scared of it
Yeah,
because I mean, and a lot of every project that I do, you know, people critique me all the time, right?
yeah,
I have pretty thick skin when it comes to that. So it's not. It took me. I mean, obviously, when I was in design school, I had to get used to that, right? I had to get used to people not liking what I was doing. I had to get used to um, changing a whole product because it didn't fit properly or it didn't meet certain criteria.
yeah,
So I became accustomed to, you know, fighting for my designs and fighting for that. So to be able to showcase my work, I want my work to be in front of as many eyes as it possibly can be.
yeah, exactly.
Whether or not, like I said, it's either a critique or maybe landing a new gig or, you know, providing someone a little bit of joy or happiness or, you know, intrigue, right?
Yeah,
I'm very much a teacher in that aspect where I love helping people learn something new. And I've been actually able to help out a lot of people, you know, teach them how to draw and do that sort of things. Because when it comes to drawing and illustration compared to like design drawing, two completely different spectrums, right? Two different mindsets.
yeah,
When you're looking at design drawing, it's more of a conversational piece. It's not necessarily a finished work compared to, you know, traditional artwork.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you can't be afraid. There's no wrong answers. There's only trial and error.
Oh yeah, exactly. And there's the whole thing of like like the person who puts up 100 pieces of work and fails at and like sucks at 50 of them is still learning more and probably making better traction than somebody who
Hmm.
doesn't put up anything because they're afraid of not being perfect to
Hmm.
everyone.
And funny enough, when you mentioned the 100 things, that was actually one of the first projects I had in design school,
Oh.
where I had to draw 100 cubes, and no cube could look alike.
Oh, okay, okay. I assume you just mean in terms of like because obviously if you're like it's like if you're hand drawing something, there's a pretty good chance that there's going to be a tiny bit of variance because you're not just going to trace or you're not going
No,
to
no, no.
but
There has to be something different on each illustration.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're talking about like fundamentally different every single time.
Hmm.
That makes
Oh yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And when you're doing that many different iterations of something as simple as a cube, you can come up with some weird stuff.
yeah. But just keep chugging along and don't be afraid to fuck up.
Yeah,
Matter of
I
fact,
mean, like I said,
embrace fucking up.
honestly, embrace the suck, as my one buddy would say.
God damn it. No, you're absolutely correct. I associate the word suck with some other things, and it's embrace
I
the suck.
mean, what? I mean, to be fair, so some of the friends in our community would, yeah, they'd have a different idea on,
Yeah,
on
like
that
I'm
phrasing.
pretty sure a couple of them are doing things right now. You go into their chats and you just be like, "Embrace the suck," and they're like, "What? They're like, they make
Actually, I think I might do that.
Yeah, I think we should both do that. That'd be funny.
Yeah, it would be.
But yeah, no, so that's all good. Yeah, just don't be afraid to mess up on things.
Mhm.
And then the last question, which you may not have an answer for, is there any
Mhm.
other details in here that I left out? Any details you left out? Anything you wanted to add to just anything?
I mean, when it comes to trying to get into doing something like this, like getting into doing design, um, or I mean, banking in general, right? Right. It doesn't necessarily like you don't have to always go the traditional route. Whether it's like school, like education through a higher education, universities, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
or it's a school of hard knocks where you're just learning it on the fly, right?
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer to it. But I know from my experience, like the design school I went to, the way I was taught changed my thinking. So, in the way I approach things. So, for me, that's something that I'll always be grateful for is having that sort of change in mindset. And it's for everyone, just make shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
Do what you love, be creative, be spontaneous, and just have fun with it, right? Like, when in doubt, just go balls to the wall and just have fun.
Yeah.
Do what you love, and you'll never regret a day in your life.
Yeah. Damn. Nice. That's good to hear. No, that was fantastic. That is everything off on my plate. Really, that's all I've got.
Mhm.
There's a couple little things that I need to do right near the end of this, but I don't know if you had anything for me that you wanted to tell me about anything.
Not really. Not unless you got other questions.
No, I don't have any other questions.
I'm pretty open book, So you ask me about anything, I'll just tell you whatever.
Yeah, I just be like, what's your favorite pizza topping?
Controversially, ham and pineapple.
I mean, it's a good pizza. I don't know what to tell people. They won't listen to me. No.
I love ham and pineapple. I mean, people think it's sacrilegious, but I think it's pretty saucy.
Yeah, that's the last opinion you're getting left with MrMahoghany is the ham and pineapple pizza shit goes hard.
It does.
And on that note, I appreciate you coming on here once again. It was a very, very interesting talk. You're talking about something of which I know the least about of anybody that I have currently talked to or am planning on talking to, and that's exciting for me. So it was great. It was a great
hopefully I was able to help out. Yeah, hopefully I was able to teach you something or teach someone else something.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you ever have any questions and you're curious about other things, let me know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm a talker.
Yeah. We'll definitely come back to you later later down the line. But is there anything at all that you want to like plug? Like it from what I'm getting out of this, it seems like most of your online presence comes in the form of like business relations with clients and whatnot. But is there anything you want to plug that I could probably link that people could look at if they're interested at all?
I mean, we could. I mean, obviously, my website, stuff like that, like as you said, is more, business related and whatnot. But I also, I post a bunch of stuff on my Instagram, my illustrations, the fan art stuff that I've been doing, the side type stuff I post on my Instagram. So we can plug that in there as well. But other than that, I pretty much showcase everything online, either through my portfolio or Instagram. Sometimes I post it on my Twitter. I'm not really too active in that though.
That seems to be a common trend with a lot of people, so that makes sense. So
yeah.
Honestly, whatever you want to be linked, just DM me the links and I'll just put them in there.
Okay.
And people go check him out because he's kind of a beast, like I said earlier. There's a couple things that I also have to plug because I exist on the internet without my better judgment. I am on YouTube at DJ Cereal Sauce. Okay, there's like 3 channels that I have to manage on YouTube. So I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple Music, There's probably a couple of other places. I'm technically on SoundCloud, but I use SoundCloud as a reference. Don't go to SoundCloud. I have a second podcast that I do with my buddies called Nothing Is Anything. If you guys want to check any of those out, the links will be at the top, or not at the top, what the fuck, the bottom of the description. And I'm just gonna keep sifting through your portfolio.